Thank you, David, and good evening, everyone. I'm Katie van Dyke. I've been with the city for about 6 years as the Climate Action Program Manager, and I also recently became the Chief Resilience Officer when Timothy Burrows departed the city. And before I begin, I just wanted to take a moment to commend and appreciate all of the incredible work that the EOC and so many staff members, community members, and council have done to respond to this pandemic, as Sarah, Katie, and David have just shared. And Paul as well. It is truly inspiring and a testament to the dedication and spirit of our staff and community. So now, drawing on the spirit, I'd like to shift the conversation a little bit to think about how we plan for the future to be more resilient. Next slide, please. But first, what is resilience? Resilience is one of those words that has many meanings. We hear a lot about personal resilience or climate resilience, but for this presentation, I'll be referring to community resilience, which is a community's ability to anticipate, prepare for, respond to, and recover from sudden shocks and long-term stresses. Applying this framework involves collaborating with a wide range of stakeholders to advance and invest in solutions that address multiple challenges and bring many benefits to the community. As we all know, 2020 has been a challenging year, and this slide just shows some of the many shocks and stresses that Berkeley has faced just this year. So as we can see, many of these chronic stresses, such as homelessness, racism, and climate change, they were all here before COVID-19, and the pandemic has just exacerbated their impacts. Next slide, please. So this next slide is just a visual reminder of why it's so important that we invest in resilience as we recover. Everyone here will probably remember September 9th of this year. To set the stage, we had been sheltering in place already for nearly 6 months, social distancing, finding creative ways to safely care for our children, our parents, and loved ones. Many people had been directly impacted by COVID-19. Many people had lost their jobs and were struggling to pay rent and feed their families. And then people were starting to protest the institutional racism that plagues our country. And then it got really hot, and there was a very big lightning storm, which, fueled by a drier and hotter climate, led to some of California's largest wildfires in history. Again, and from this, people lost their lives and their homes, and then entire communities like ours were covered in hazardous smoke for weeks. We were unable to go outside. We were also unable to gather indoors in locations with cleaner and cooler air due to the pandemic. And of course, we know that the people who have been most impacted by all of these challenges are people of color and other disadvantaged communities. That was before September 9th. And then this day happened where the smoke took away our sunlight. And this was, I think, a tough day for a lot of people, but some of us had it easy compared to many others, including those who don't have shelter and frontline workers who were risking their own health in order to provide for their families and to serve our communities. So I just wanted to pause and just recognize that these are unprecedented times, and it requires our community to be more resilient than ever. And the way that we can start to do this is by applying this approach of resilience, of collaboration and multi-benefit solutions to the work that we're doing. Next slide. And thankfully, the City of Berkeley has already embraced this resilience framework. For example, in 2015, the city joined the 100 Resilient Cities Network, which led to the creation of our resilience strategy. And we continue to participate in this network of global cities to learn and share best practices. The Climate Action Plan, Vision 2050, and the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan are other examples of existing city plans that operate on this principle of investing in multi-benefit resilient solutions. And there are also so many examples of amazing resilience work that's happening right now as part of our response to COVID-19, led by Sarah, Katie, David, and Paul. There are too many to recap, but a few that I wanted to highlight were, quickly mobilizing to provide innovative COVID-19 testing solutions, which helped to contain the spread of the disease. It focused on serving vulnerable and underserved communities, and it enabled people to safely return to work. The city also provided safe social distance shelter and healthcare support for the unhoused, which reduced the risk of the disease spread for a high-risk group, and also provided comfort and safety. The city also quickly moved to allow parklets for restaurants to reopen, which provides benefits of social distancing to reduce transmission, of the disease, it supports local businesses, and it provides an innovative use of our outdoor space that has worked so well that the city is considering making these permanent. The city has also started to take actions towards a resilient recovery, including providing grants and support to our local businesses, highlighting those owned by women, people of color, and low-income people. We're rethinking our policing strategies with a focus on equity, and we're investing in infrastructure upgrades that incorporate sustainability and equity. So now we really want to build upon this great work and ensure that we're not only responding, but also anticipating what the long-term effects will be for COVID-19, preparing for these effects, and recovering in a way that benefits all members of our community. We also want to be thoughtful and intentional about the decisions that we make now during our response, as these decisions can have long-term impacts. And while we want to take advantage of opportunities, we also need to ensure that we don't create any unintended consequences. So we know that pre-COVID normal had its shortcomings, but by leading to enable more effective cross-departmental collaboration that enhances the health and well-being of our community, which we heard a lot about today, and by advancing in these multi-benefit solutions, we can help Berkeley bounce forward and not back. So thank you for your time, and now I'm going to pass it back to Dee.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, this is concluding our presentation. I know it has been a long presentation for you to hear. I thought it was extremely important that our staff take their time and share and provide you with a glimpse of all that we've done to try and keep our community safe and healthy over the past year. Through just a small dedicated team of folks, we've lifted up so much communication channels around this pandemic, and it's far exceeded our capacity. And I can't express enough the many people that I just like to express my gratitude and thanks for. You know, and I first just need to start with Paul Budenhagen, who couldn't be here this evening, but I know he is probably somewhere listening. I want to just share with him, I am profoundly grateful for his outstanding leadership. And a special thank you to Dave White for his dedication in overseeing the ongoing operations of our city. He is one of the most talented professionals I've had the opportunity to work with. And then as I look at the rest of this team, Katie Hahn, Sarah Lana, Katie van Dyke, and all of them have put forth their operational expertise, whether it be in emergencies or resilience. And then last but not least, Melissa McDonough, who both compiled this report and the presentation for you all this evening. These are some of our up and coming stars. They are absolutely stars in our city. And I am very grateful for them, all of their leadership, all of their work and their time. It has been a long journey. We are still in it. We just went through a public safety power shutoff. As I've shared with you all, we're in a triple threat arena, and that arena continues. But this team has been so stellar. They bounced back, they bounced forward, they bounced down and up, and I am their biggest champion. And I am profoundly grateful for all of their service and work. So Council, I want to thank all of you for taking all of this time and allowing us this time this evening to present to you. And I thank you for your leadership as well. So with that, that concludes our presentation, and we're here for any questions that you may have.